Welcome back. Today our topic is resources. CBSE class 8. So here this is the first lesson of the geography resources. Here in this lesson we are going to study what is resource or what are resources, what are the different categories, different types of resources, what is resource conservation, then what is sustainable development. These are the four important topics that we are going to deal in this lesson. So let us start right now with the definition of resource. So what is a resource? So resource is nothing but anything that can be used is known as a resource. Suppose a plant, it is a usable thing, so we can call it as a resource. A duster that I can use to erase the board, to rub the board, so that I can call it as a resource. Television is a resource for me, or a stone, a simple small piece of stone. So it will become a resource when I can use it for making a building, to construct a building. This board, this is a blackboard. It is a resource because I can use it for writing. It's a pen. This is a resource because I can use it for writing something. So this is a shirt, it's a cloth or shirt. Shirt is also a resource for me because I used to wear it, I have to wear it. So all the things, whichever thing that is useful things, all useful things we can call as resource. Or in other words, we can say anything that has some value can be called as resource. Anything, any object that if it has some value, then we can call it as resource. All valuable things or anything that has value can be called as resource. So what makes an object as a resource? Well, its value makes the object as a resource, or its utility makes an object as a resource. Utility makes an object as resource, or its value. Value may be ethical value or economic value or any type of value. So value of an object makes it as a resource. So let us go through different types of resources. So in generally, resources can be classified into three. General classification of resources. So resources can be classified into three. Those are natural resources, human-made resources, and human resources. So let's start here. One is natural resources, human-made resources, and third one is human resource. Natural resources, human-made resources, and human resources. First of all, let's come to the first point, that is natural resources. From the word itself, nature, we will get the idea of natural resources. What is natural resource? The resources which can be obtained from nature directly is known as natural resources. These are the gift of God, we can say, or gift of nature, we can say. So the resources which are used, or we get directly from the nature and we use it without much modification, is known as natural resources. If we have done a lot of modification and we change into another form, then we have to call it as human-made resources. So that natural resources means resources which are obtained directly from the nature and we use it without much modification is called as natural resources. I'll repeat it. The resources which are obtained from nature and we use it without much modification, such type of resources are known as natural resources. Examples. Can you imagine or can you guess some examples? Think yourself for some more examples. Yeah, obviously, whatever available in nature, water, forest, then we can call plant, trees, plant, air, all these things are natural resources which which are already available in nature and we are using it as it is for our needs. Next one is human made resources. What are human made resources? The resources which are made by human being. The word itself says the resources which are made by human being by utilizing the natural resources are known as human made resources. Suppose this is a chalk. It is a human made resource because it is made by human beings. This pen, it is human made resources. It is made by human being. The shirt, the table, the board, this building, all these are made by human beings, so that we can call it as human made resources. The third one is human resource. Human resource. What is human resource? So let's see. Without human being, we won't get human made resources, right? So here human beings, the people itself is a special type of resource. Human beings are itself a special type of resources. That is why people are known as human resources, because people are itself resources. It is known as human resource because people are making so and so thing, different human made resources. So somebody is there to make it. So that people itself is known as human resources. So these are the three types of resources. First one is natural resources, the resources which are obtained directly from nature and we use it without much modification is known as natural resources. Second one is human made resources, the resources which are made by human being by using the natural resources are known as human made resources. Human resources, the people, the people itself is a resource. Suppose I am a teacher, so I am a resource for many of my students. So without teachers, those students are not able to learn something. So I am a resource for them. That is why I am a human resource. Clear? Fine. Next, first we have studied about natural resources. These natural resources can be classified into different types. Suppose first one you might be studying in last year in the 7th class. Those are biotic resources and abiotic resources. Abiotic resources. What is biotic resource? Resources which have life. Means all living things are known as biotic resource. All non-living things are known as abiotic resource. That we have already learned in class 7. Here, resources we are going to classify into renewable resource and non-renewable resource. First one is renewable resource, another one is non-renewable resource. So natural resources, further it can be classified as renewable resource and non-renewable resource. What is renewable resource? The resources which can be reproduced easily is known as renewable resources. The resources which can be renewed or reproduced easily is known as renewable resource. Here actually I am not going to more technical terms because the topic I am covering only based on the syllabus of 8th class. So based on that only I am giving the explanation also. So here renewable resource, the resources which can be renewed or reproduced. We can reproduce easily, we can get it renewed easily. Such type of resources are known as renewable resources. Example. Anybody can give some examples? Solar energy. Suppose if you use solar energy daily as much as you want, it will get reproduced. It depends on the sunlight. Based on sunlight, it will get reproduced every day. It will get renewed every day. Wind energy, it will get reproduced or regenerated or renewed. So wind energy and solar energy we can consider as an example of renewable energy or renewable resource. So resources which can be renewed or reproduced easily. Such type of resources are known as renewable resources, example solar energy, wind energy, etc. So most of the renewable resources we can use as much as we want. We don't no need to take care much more. We can use as much as we want most of the renewable resources. But some of the renewable resources also should be used very carefully. Example water. Water is also a renewable resource. But we cannot use as much as we want. We want to use it carefully, properly. We should give time to reproduce or regenerate. So we want to use the water carefully, because that's why much part of the world we have water scarcity, because most of the available water is not in a drinkable form, right? So how the water is getting renewable resource or becoming renewable resource? Nothing but you have studied in 7th class what is water cycle, right? Only because of water cycle, whatever the available water, if we consumed, then it will go to underground, it will come again, and it will sometimes it will go to it will reach the oceans or seas, again it is evaporating, then condensation, precipitation coming back, then this water cycle process is continuous. So only because of water cycle, water is a renewable resource. It is not reproduced, but it is getting renewed. Water is not getting reproduced continuously, but it is getting renewed. So that water we can call it as renewable resource. Take an example of forest. Forest is a renewable or non-renewable? Do you have any idea? Yes. You can comment here. Water, forest is a renewable resource or non-renewable resource? Can you comment here? Fine. Forest is also a renewable resource. It can be regenerated easily. So forest also can be considered as renewable resource. Then next topic is non-renewable resource. What is non-renewable resource? The resources which cannot be reproduced easily, which cannot be regenerated easily. Such type of resources are known as non-renewable resources. Example. Anybody can give an example? Yes. Petrol. All the petroleum products, whether it is petrol, diesel, coal, etc., are part of the non-renewable resource. It will take thousands of years to get it reproduced or regenerated. Such type of resources are known as non-renewable resources. So, resources which are not able to reproduce, or it may take long span of time to get reproduced. It cannot be reproduced easily. Such type of resources are known as non-renewable resources. Resources which cannot be reproduced easily. It may get long span of time to get it reproduced. Such type of resources are known as non-renewable resources. Example, petrol, coal, diesel, etc., etc., etc. So these are another classification of natural resources. So let me ask one question. Technology. You know technology? Yes. Technology is which type of resource? Natural resource, human resource, or human-made resource? Comment here. Yes, obviously. Technology is a human-made resource. What is technology? Technology is nothing but it's the latest knowledge for doing, or a skill for doing something is known as technology. Let me repeat. It is the latest knowledge for doing something, or it is the latest knowledge or latest skill for doing something is known as technology. So who is making it? It is already available in nature? No. Already some technologies are available in nature, but it is not latest, right? So latest technology or simply technology is known as human-made resource. Technology is part of human-made resource. Fine. Next topic is human resource development. becomes human resource. It is through human resource development. Suppose if a person getting good education and good health, he can do more things, something more, right? That process of making a human into human resource is known as human resource development. Suppose you are children, you want to become a doctor in future. What we have to do? Yeah, we have to study more. The teachers has to give you more good knowledge. Then slowly you will become a good doctor. Here, this process, a child become a doctor or a human being become a human resource. So making a human resource or giving more knowledge to human being, giving more education to human being to become a human resource. That process is known as human resource development. In short, we can write as HR, human resource development. So next topic is resource conservation. What is resource conservation? Conservation means saving, not direct meaning, but we can say conservation means saving. So use resources very carefully and give time to get it renewed is known as resource conservation. Let me repeat again. Use resources very carefully and give time to get renewed is known as resource conservation. So which are the different, what are the examples of resource conservation? Suppose we are getting water. Sometimes what we will do, morning at the brushing time, we will just put on the water, the tap will be on and we will take a little bit water and we will do the brushing, but still water is going on, it is getting wasted, but we are not carrying all those things, we are not aware of that and still we are doing, again we are washing, again we can do, what is this, lot of water is getting wasted there. So lunch break time, after lunch you might be washing your plates, right? So here you will be on the, you will try to on the tap fully, a lot of water will be wasted, and if you on the tap, little bit half of the tap is getting on, that is enough for you to get water to get it washed, but you will waste a lot of water. Not only you, everybody is doing the same thing, many people will waste lot of water. So here, these are the wastage of resources. We are wasting a lot of resources. So instead of wasting, we are saving the resources. That is what resource conservation. So resource conservation means nothing but using the resources very carefully and giving time to get renewed. That is known as resource conservation. Clear? What is resource conservation? You can tell the same sentence in your mind. Yeah. Resource conservation is nothing but using the resources carefully and giving time to get renewed. That is known as resource conservation. The last point in this lesson is sustainable development. What is sustainable development? Everybody is always talking about development. Our political parties, our different, all the causes, we want development in our area, right? So always we are trying to get developed ourselves as well as we want a lot of developments in our area. But unfortunately, most of the time, suppose example, if we are trying to construct a road nearby your area, in your village, lot of trees will be getting cut, right? We will be cutting a lot of trees, and suppose if there is small rivers or not rivers, small water channels, water flowing areas, so as things are available, it will be getting disturbed. Lot of the everything, the nature itself will be getting damaged. We are going to damage the nature for constructing the road. This is what the wrong method of doing development. What we want is, we want the method of sustainable development. What is sustainable development? It is very simple concept. Developing, we need development, but it should be without damaging the environment, and something we should keep for future generations also, right? Suppose whatever all resources we are using right now, then what will happen? It won't be available for future generation, next generation people, right? So that also should not be happen. So development should take place without damaging environment and by considering the future generations. Development should happen without damaging the environment and by considering the future generations. Such type of development is known as sustainable development. So which type of development we do need, whether it is sustainable development or the development of fully damaged or disaster. We need sustainable development because we should not damage the environment, and something we should keep for the future generation. Everything we should not use it as it is, whatever available on the earth. So let me repeat, what is sustainable development? Development should take place without damaging the environment and by considering the future generations. Such type of development is known as sustainable development. So let us come back to the example of constructing a road. So constructing a road is very necessary, right? For each village we need roads. So what we have to do, we should try to find a way where less number of trees are being cut down. Means there is only less number of trees are only available in those area region. We can cut only less number of trees, right? So that suppose if you cut the 5 trees, same time you could have plant 10 trees to the nearby area. So we are already trying to construct a road for the development and we are just cutting the trees. So if you are cutting 5 trees, instead of that you just try to, because forest is a renewable resource, right? So we can make it, we can regenerate, reproduce easily. So then what you have to do is, you have to plant, if you cut 5 trees, you have to plant 10 trees nearby the area, so that it will become a sustainable development. Otherwise it will become a development that will lead for a lot of disaster in future. If there is no trees, what will happen? What will happen? Automatically heat of the place will increase, lot of other natural problems will be there, right? So that constructing road, cutting few trees, if it is very necessary, cutting few trees, then while cutting few trees, double of the trees can be planted nearby areas, so it will become part of sustainable development. So these are the topics of 8th standard CBSE Geography first chapter, resources. So you can subscribe this channel for further updates. We will be uploading